want to thank everybody for coming here and joining us today. Standing up here with me, I'm going to start at my far left. Sheriff Robert Milby from Wayne County, Amy Hendricks, who is the Geneva City Manager, Lieutenant John Van Savage from the Geneva Police Department, Chief Ronald Evelyn from the Geneva Police Department. Moving to my right, Under Sheriff Melinda Marquardt with the Seneca County Sheriff's Office. To her right, Chief Deputy Stacy Lambert from the Ontario County Sheriff's Office. Next to her is Wayne County District Attorney Christine Callanan, and on the end is Ontario County Under Sheriff Michael Rago. I have a statement that I'm going to read. We'll provide each of you with it at the end. Chief Evelyn will follow me with a statement, and then we'll take questions. So on May 7th of this year, we convened in this room to report on the arrest of a Geneva police officer, Michael Tapscott, for selling a controlled substance while on duty. At that time, I stated that the investigation was still ongoing and that we would interview every witness, every person tied to this case, and examine each piece of evidence collected to that point and any additional evidence that we gained as the investigation went on. Finally, I assured the public that if there was more to report following the continuing investigation, we would be back here to report those findings. That is what brings us here today. Prior to and following the arrest of now former police officer Michael Tapscott, members of the Ontario County Sheriff's Office's Special Investigation Division, assisted by our partners at the Seneca and Wayne County Sheriff's Offices, and the Ontario and Wayne County District Attorney's Offices, interviewed dozens of witnesses and persons with knowledge of Mr. Tapscott's criminal behavior. They have also poured over body camera footage, police reports, police GPS logs, and multiple cell phones as part of this investigation. Collectively, the cell phones seized contained over 1 million text messages that have been forensically examined. The interviews conducted and examination of this evidence revealed a pattern of behavior by Mr. Tapscott wherein he was regularly soliciting other members of the police department and members of the community to purchase or sell controlled substances while he was both on and off duty. When seeking to obtain these substances, Tapscott would offer to train ammunition, firearm magazines, and personal property to include sneakers. Conversely, Tapscott would trade his own prescription medication for money or other controlled substances. Evidence shows one instance when Tapscott took possession of a pill bottle believed to contain a controlled substance while he was in the residence of a citizen in the city of Geneva after he had been dispatched there for an assist the emergency medical service call. At the conclusion of our investigation, all evidence and material related were turned over to Wayne County District Attorney Christine Callanan, who was named special prosecutor in this matter. Earlier this month, District Attorney Callanan presented this case to an Ontario County grand jury. Today, we are able to report on the grand jury's action following testimony from over 24 police and civilian witnesses. Michael Tapscott has been charged and arraigned on 6 counts of criminal sale of a controlled substance in the 5th degree, Class D felonies, 6 counts of criminal possession of a controlled substance in the 5th degree, Class D felonies, 8 counts of criminal possession of a controlled substance in the 7th degree, Class A misdemeanors, 11 counts of official misconduct, Class A misdemeanors, and 1 count of petit larceny, which is a Class A misdemeanor. Geneva Police Sergeant David Felice has been charged and arraigned on 1 count of tampering with physical evidence, a Class E felony, 1 count of criminal possession of a controlled substance in the 7th degree, and 1 count of official misconduct. William R. McGowan one count of tampering with physical evidence, a Class E felony. This morning, these three defendants were arraigned on their respective charges in Ontario County Court in front of Judge Christina Carley. Each was released on their own recognizance, pending further action in Ontario County Court. While we are confident that the vast majority of evidence related to this case has been uncovered and examined, additional charges are possible, and we urge anyone who may have new information correlating to this case to come forward. Such information can be reported through our mobile app at Ontario Sheriff NY or the Ontario County Sheriff's Office website, or as always by calling our non-emergency number at 394-4560. Police officers hold positions of power and authority. Our citizens need to know that they can trust us, and it's on us to earn that trust. As I said in May, the vast majority of men and women in the law enforcement profession are dedicated, hardworking professionals who courageously serve their communities with honor and pride. All of us standing here, joined by the hundreds of police officers and first responders who protect this region, we join them in denouncing this criminal behavior. Members from each agency I named have worked tirelessly to ensure this case and the enormous amount of evidence linked to it are handled properly and proficiently to ensure a successful prosecutorial outcome. I want to personally thank the members of the Ontario County Sheriff's Office Special Investigation Division who led this intense and intricate investigation with integrity and professionalism. Also, our thanks to Wayne County Sheriff Robert Milby, Seneca County Sheriff Timothy Thompson, and the men and women of their offices who provided crucial assistance throughout this case. My sincere thanks to Wayne County District Attorney Christine Callanan, who has provided expert legal guidance to our team throughout this investigative process. She has now begun court action against the defendants named and stands united with us in seeking accountability for their criminal behavior. In closing, I want to commend Geneva Police Chief Ron Evelyn. His cooperation during what has been a very difficult and exhaustive process for all of us has been remarkable. At the onset of this case, Chief Evelyn pledged to hold any members of his department accountable. He has been completely transparent with investigators working this case, providing all relative material under his control without hesitation. I have seen the toll this has taken on Chief Evelyn, and it has shaped his resolve in moving the Geneva Police Department in a positive direction going forward. Chief.
Good afternoon. I would like to take this time to recap the chain of events that took place at the Geneva Police Department at the launch of this investigation. On April 25th, I was contacted by Sheriff Sorrentzione, alerting me to a criminal investigation that started against one of the members of the Geneva Police Department, the former Officer Michael Tapscott, who was a 12-year veteran of the police department. Mr. Tapscott was placed on an administrative leave on April 30th. On May 6th, Mr. Tapscott resigned from his position as a police officer with the City of Geneva Police Department. On the evening of May 6th, I learned that two more members of the department were now linked and under criminal investigation. Sergeant David Felice, a 19-year veteran of the department, and the former officer Nathan Jacon, who was with the department for almost 2 years. On May 7th, both members were placed on an administrative leave. On August 15th, Mr. Jacon resigned from his position with the Geneva Police Department. As of right now, Sergeant David Felice is still on administrative leave. The Geneva Police Department has cooperated fully with the Sheriff's Office during this investigation. I want to personally thank Sheriff Sorrentzione and his staff for the professionalism that they displayed during the course of this investigation. The actions of a few members does not reflect all of the positive things that the police department has done in the past or continues to do moving forward into the future, nor does it represent the greater law enforcement community, as the sheriff has said previously. I have done my very best to remain transparent with the community during this challenging time and I remain committed to rebuilding the trust of the Geneva community and our law enforcement partners as we continue to move forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Thank you. Okay, we'll take questions.
What are we looking at for time, sir, for Mr. Tapscott? 20 years, 25 years? What could he face with those charges?
District Attorney, answer that.
Based on the top counts that he's facing, the maximum sentence he could get would be 2.5 years. Those sentences potentially could run consecutive to each other, which means he's looking at a maximum of 15 years in the Department of Corrections based on those top D felony charges.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
When would the court, when would the court proceed? You've already begun with what you've done so far. When will we see him in court for the case?
He was present in court this morning and was arraigned with Judge Carley. The case will ultimately be assigned to Judge Reed. At this time, we do not have a next court date as Judge Reed is engaged in a trial.
Given that this was from a Geneva Police Department, why does investigation span 3 different counties?
Okay, so the investigation was conducted within Ontario County. We had resources from the other 2 sheriff's offices that assisted us because we had so many witnesses and so much evidence to, so many witnesses to interview and so much evidence to process.
Thank you. Were
Yes.
those 1 million texts all from Tapscott's phone, or throughout the investigation you accumulated evidence amounting to 1 million texts?
Total, there were well over 1 million with all the phones we looked at.
Do you know if Mr. Tapp did all of these alleged actions in uniform or on off time?
Yeah, the counts that are charged are a combination. Some were conducted while he was on duty and in uniform. Some were conducted while he was off duty. So it's a mix.
Was he using any drugs?
Yes,
Same stuff he was selling usually, or was it other things?
what he was selling.
How have these last few months been with the investigation and your officers? You've seen any effects from this?
I think the biggest effect that we have seen, in me personally, it's no secret, Geneva is my home community, is a real request. The people in the community want answers, right? So we were here May 7th, and we said that Officer Tapscott had been charged with 1 count for selling 1 pill on 1 occasion, and rightfully so. What I've been hearing and what we've heard from the community is, was this such a big deal that, so much was convened about one person selling 1 pill at one time? And the fact of the matter is that we knew relatively early on that this was a very long-standing issue, and honestly like a web of behavior being conducted by Officer Tapscott. But police investigations take time, right? Our investigators had to, each person led us to another person, and investigators had to track these people down and get information. Mr. Tapscott's phone, myriad of evidence and information, one of the largest forensic downloads that the investigators had ever seen. Like, tons of evidence on there, but it took the investigators a long time to download that and pour through it. And then a lot of leads and follow-up were based on what was contained within the cell phones. So that took time, and then the investigators compile all this, and then we've got we had kept DA Callanan on, up to speed, but then it's a different story when she gets it and has to pour over and decide what she deems are actual chargeable accounts, and then prep all these witnesses for grand jury, get grand jury scheduled. So it's been a very long, it's been 5.5 months, and for us it seems like it's been 5 years. None of us up here enjoy having an investigation with wrongdoing and criminal behavior by police officers hanging over your heads. And while we've known what the likely outcome was going to be today, we haven't been able to share it until today. So it's been frustrating. Our message to the Geneva community is we expect them to be upset by this. We're upset by this. We've had some time to process it. They have not yet. We thank them for their patience. I would their continued support and respect for all of law enforcement, most especially the Geneva Police Department. I've said it before, these are dedicated men and women, and I will speak specifically to the Geneva Police Department. These are dedicated men and women who walk out the door to a day of service every day in a community that can be very dangerous. And they do it well, they do it with pride, they do it with courage, and they serve that community well. You've got one bad apple here who was in the barrel, did some poisoning a little bit, had spilled over, but the rest of their members want this cleaned up, and they want to move forward, and they just want to go forward and protect the community like they do so well.
When it comes to Adderall, I remember hearing about this 20 years ago. College students will use it to study, I guess. Why is it such a hot drug? I mean, that's what he was selling and using, apparently, right? Like, what does it do?
Yeah, so it's used to treat ADHD, but when taken certain ways, it's a stimulant, and it gives a bump, so to say. You know, Mr. Tapscott is, or was at least, prescribed this Adderall himself, but certainly wasn't using it the way it was prescribed.
Could you speak more about the involvement of the two additional officers? I believe you said they were both charged with evidence tampering. Was that after the fact? Like, was
Yeah,
that initially
so
arrested?
Sergeant Felice was just arraigned this morning, and he was charged with evidence tampering. There was mention of Officer Jacon. He has not been charged criminally at this time. And the third person charged, William McGowan, is an associate of Mr. Tapscott's, but he is in fact not a police officer.
And so were they also selling with
The tampering with evidence, I can tell you, is related to them deleting or attempting to delete messages that were between them and Tapscott in relation to exchanges of pills.
Do we have a timeline for this in terms of how long Tapscott was involved in selling drugs?
The first chargeable incident that Michael Tapscott is facing goes back to December of 2022. That's as far as we were able to get evidence back on the phone.
Did you have problems with him previously at all? Any other issues arise before?
No. There has not been any previous issues that would allude to something to this magnitude.
Nothing behavioral, anything like that?
No.
How is the outcome of this investigation affecting policies, procedures, the environment in general at the police department?
You know, we're certainly looking at something, myself and my command staff, looking at things that we can maybe do better to help circumvent anything like this moving forward. But I think right now our sole focus is, you know, rebuilding that trust, both internally, but then also with our community and our law enforcement partners. You know, what's difficult for us is this isn't just a police officer, it's also a friend and a colleague. You know, we're a small department. We have a lot of members that grew up with Mr. Tapscott and Mr. Felice, so it does strike a personal kind of note with that as well.
Do we know specifically who he was selling to, and is there any repercussions for those who purchase drugs from him?
I do not have any of that information. Anything else? Thank you.
Good, nothing else for myself or the DA?
Great. There were two different people mentioned. Originally, it was Officer Jacon, and then you also mentioned who was arraigned today, McGowan?
Yes.
When did he get involved? I just want a clarification on when Jacon kind of left this investigation, when McGowan entered the investigation.
They both entered the investigation early on in the first week to 2 weeks of the investigation. And aside from the original charge, the arrest that we made in the first days of Mr. Tapscott, everybody's criminal action waited until today. And part of this is still under investigation, I can say that.
Okay. Was Jacon arraigned? I think it was only 3 days.
He was not.
Okay.
Where was he getting the Adderall?
Tapscott? So combination of it's prescribed to him, and then other individuals he was seeking it from in the community that he knew had prescriptions for it.
Were there any other substances besides Adderall?
Yes. Part of Mr. Tapscott's web was that he was also seeking painkillers, specifically Vicodin and Oxycontin. which was not prescribed to him. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 on demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.